a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your hand. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That bell bites hard, but it don't get the crown. Hold on, stay with me now.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you with Toadstool Sports for Friday, July 31st, the end of July. It's not been the greatest month on the show. We've been better over the last couple weeks, though, I guess. We went 1-0-1 on the show yesterday. It should have been 2-0. I mean, we had Washington Nationals in the first 5. They were winning the game 3-1 in the bottom of the 5th. You're in pretty good shape, you know. If all you have to do is escape the bottom of the 5th and not allow at least 2 runs there. And what did they do? Yeah, Jake Irvin, whatever. They allowed exactly 2 runs. I mean, at least it wasn't a loss, but it wound up being a push when it was like almost a guaranteed winner at that point. They did lose the full game. If they won the full game, I was going to be extra pissed because that was obviously a potential way to play that, is to play Washington in the full game. I would have been really, really angry if that happened. But they did not. They lost. So first 5 was still the better way to play it. It should have been a win. It was a push. And then we did get the win with the under in Marlins-Mets, which would have been easy in the first. I'm pretty sure it was 1-0 at the end of 5, so that would have been an easy first 5 winner. I guess I should have done it that way, but it shouldn't have even been that close to not cashing. I got worried near the end because it became a 2-2 game, and I'm like, oh, shit, because if it goes into extra innings, you know, with the ghost runner and whatever, that's where unders go to die. I'm like, just please don't have that happen. Just have some team win 3-2 right now. And the Mets scored 2 runs with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th to make it 4-2. And then 1 more run is going to push your bet. 2 more is going to lose it. And all of a sudden, I'm like, this is not good. And then they brought in Devin Williams. I think he pitched 2 games in a row, and he's not a good closer, really. I mean, he wasn't that good for the Yankees last year. And I'm like, yeah, this might be bad. But he actually did finish it off, so he had a scoreless 9th, so we won on the under in Marlins-Mets. All right. I don't like the board today, just so you know. I think I'm going to give out 1 play. I handicapped all of this last night, so I'm going to go through it again, refresh my memory, and I guess if I see something I didn't see last night, maybe I'll add something, but I didn't see much that I really liked. It will be a baseball play that I have, and I don't even know if I like this one. Ramon, what's up, man? Thanks for checking out the show. All right. Let's get into this. We do have one afternoon baseball game today. It's Friday, so these weekend series are mostly starting, although I think Pittsburgh-Cincinnati, I think, is actually continuing. They started their series yesterday, kind of a weird 4-game series starting on Thursday, but we do have mostly new series beginning. Yankees and Cubs is the first game, which is one of these Friday afternoon Wrigley games here. Yankees might have a little bit of a situational advantage here because they're staying in Chicago. The Yankees just played at the White Sox, so the Yankees are not having to travel anywhere. So they did lose the last 2 games, but that makes this a better spot for the Yankees because they don't have to go anywhere. They might bounce back after some of those losses there. Cubs are in a negative spot, in my opinion, because they're returning home from a road trip, although it was all within their division, so it's not one of those road trips that really takes them a whole bunch of places. But it was Pittsburgh, St. Louis. They had a successful road trip. They won both divisional series there, returning home. Yankees, not really a team that you necessarily overlook, but I always point out that when a team returns home from the road, they've been away for a while. They got stuff to do at home, so a lot of times it could be a distraction. So the situation definitely favors the Yankees here. Start digging into the matchup, though, and it gets, maybe a little bit more questionable whether or not you really want to play the Yankees here. The Cubs did use 5 relief pitchers yesterday. The Yankees only used 3, so the Yankees are going to have the bullpen advantage here. The Yankees are number 4 in bullpen right now. They have the best ERA tied with the Red Sox, both of them below an ERA of 3 right now. Cubs are 15th. So not a horrible bullpen for the Cubs. Cubs are number 3 in offense, and the Yankees have been struggling offensively really since Aaron Judge has gone down. They've kind of fallen off a bit. They're at 12th right now, tied with the A's. Will Warren is pitching for the Yankees, though, and that's kind of the thing. Like, you get the situation favoring the Yankees here. The bullpen favors the Yankees, but they do not have the better of the 2 starting pitchers pitching here. Will Warren, he's like the last guy in the rotation pretty much. I mean, I'm not going to say he's awful, but he's not great. 4.41 ERA, 1.41 whip is pretty high. He's been bad on the road, 5 road ERA. Pitched pretty poorly last time out on the road at Philadelphia. Had some really short outing before that, which maybe he came out of the bullpen. I don't know, because he had like 10 days of rest and then made this really short stint. Like, he had this short appearance against Pittsburgh, and then I guess they put him back in the rotation after that. I don't know, like, all this moving the starting pitcher around, like, between the bullpen, back into the rotation, that can sometimes mess with his rhythm as well, because pitchers like to stay on schedule, and he's not really right now. So I don't think I'd really trust Will Warren here. Against the Cubs have hit him okay in 22 at-bats. Not a huge sample, but they have a 273 average, 775 OPS against him, 1-2 strikeout walk ratio. So I don't think I really want to back Warren here. Cubs are a huge favorite, though. Like, this is another one of those, or not huge, but pretty big. Another one of these games where this is one of the biggest underdog prices you're going to get on the Yankees all season, which I know I said that against Philadelphia, where Philadelphia was an even heavier favorite than this not too long ago. And Philadelphia won that game easily with Sanchez on the mound. I think it might have been against Warren. And maybe it's justified, but I don't know, man. It seems a little bit of a high price tag on the Cubs here. They do have Shota Imanaga on the mound. And I told you, like, it seemed like a lot of people were saying Imanaga's done. Like, he's been figured out. He's been in the league for 2 years now, whatever. I told you no. Like, I was looking at his underlying metrics and whatever, and I still think he's good, and he has been good again recently. So, yeah, I don't think he's anywhere close to done. 3.72 ERA, 1.1 whip. That's pretty good. He's been a little bit worse at home, though. 4.06 home ERA. Went 6 shutout innings last time out against Pittsburgh on the road. That is not easy to do. That's a very high-caliber offense at home. Shut out Minnesota for 7 innings the game before that. He's been really in good form over his last 3 starts. 4 of the last 5 have been good. So, yeah, he's on fire right now. He's got a low hit rate, low walk rate, reasonable strikeout rate. His only problem has been the home run ball has gotten to him, and some of those might have been some of those wind games in Coors Field. What am I saying? Coors Field, Wrigley Field, where they have the huge wind effect there. Imanaga against the New York Yankees has 27 at-bats against them. He's pitched pretty well, 222 average, 620 OPS, 7-1 strikeout walk ratio. The Yankees have the situational edge, but I might prefer backing Imanaga over Warren here. Warren, by the way, his hit rate is pretty high. It's above 1 per inning. His walk rate is okay, and his strikeout rate is decent. It's 1 per inning. But, yeah, I think you got to decide what you want here. Like, do you want to back the situation, or do you, and I don't mean the guy from Jersey Shore, or do you want to back the better pitching, which is the Cubs here? Cubs have moved up from -136 to -157 at DK, so the line has moved up on the Cubs. A lot of the books have like -140 something, it looks like. Well, it looks like there's a disparity here. Like, the sharp books in Vegas have that lower number, and then the like big online dudes all have the higher number there, which that doesn't totally tell me that that means that the actual money is necessarily on the Yankees, but because the Cubs are the favorite, a lot of times the favorite price is just more enormous at these bigger books because the public just has a tendency to play favorites. In this case, we have 59% of the tickets, 59% of the cash on the Cubs. So not really, yeah, I mean, it's hard to read what's going on in the market here. And then the total looks like it has some action on the over 9 here. Total seems a little bit high. Maybe there is some wind blowing out here in Wrigley here today. I think I would lean to the Cubs in the first 5 innings, though. They don't have the bullpen advantage, but I think Imanaga has the advantage over Warren somewhat significantly. So I think that would probably be how I would play that, is play the Cubs in the first 5. But you're going to have to lay a half run to do that, and I'm not really jumping out of my seat to do that. William, what's up, man? Whose problem? What? What are we talking about? I don't know what we're talking about. Next game up is going to be my one play here, and I don't even really like it. I don't like the board today, man. So sometimes I just don't feel great about some of these, but maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Or maybe on the other hand, this seems too obvious, but given the state of these two pitchers right now, I'm not sure it does seem that obvious, but I'm going to give out Pittsburgh-Cincinnati first 5 innings under the 3.5. But what I will say is the full game total here is at 8, so I was expecting they'd be able to see a 4 here. If you wanted to go full game on this, I guess you could, but I really don't like these bullpens, so I don't want to do anything with these two bullpens here, but I like the starting pitchers, so this is the way that I'm going to do it. I was hoping that a 4 would come up. I would say wait and see if you can get the 4, because the worst you're going to get on this is a 3.5 at some reasonable price here, but it's probably worth it to see if you can get that extra half run somewhere, because it's so close to hitting 4 there. But I want to back these two pitchers here, Skeens and Greene. Screens. I like the starting pitching matchup here, obviously. Cincinnati, this series already started. Cincinnati won the game 3-2 yesterday. I expected it to be a much higher scoring game yesterday, with Rhett Lauder going for Cincinnati against a Pittsburgh bullpen game. I don't know what happened there, but that's also another reason why I don't want to deal with the bullpens. Pittsburgh, their bullpen's not very good, and they used 5 guys out of the bullpen. Cincinnati's bullpen is even worse, and they used 3. So I don't want to factor in the bullpens here unless I'm fading them. I mean, they're not the absolute worst bullpens here, but they're 24th and 25th, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, respectively. Mid-4s ERA, not really trustworthy, especially in the state that Pittsburgh's is in right now. Pittsburgh does have a good offense. They're number 3, tied with the Cubs, but they're better at home than they are on the road, and they are on the road here, although I know this is a hitter-friendly ballpark in Cincinnati. Cincinnati has been struggling at the plate. They're 22nd. And I believe they lost Steer to an injury, so I don't know. He might not be in the lineup. Skeens is pitching for the Pirates, like I said. I know he's not having his greatest season here. He's got a 3.65 ERA, which is bad for him, but 1.06 whip, even though usually he's got a whip, I think, usually below 1. But that whip still kind of indicates, I think, his ERA should be a bit lower than it is here. Skeens, he's been only a little bit worse on the road, 3.99 ERA, but this is still pretty good here. Had kind of a bad outing last time out against the Cubs. The Cubs specifically do damage against Skeens, as I pointed out when I handicapped that game. It's not a good matchup for him. He still had 11 strikeouts in that one in 5 1/3 innings, so he wasn't like completely off his game there. He's still fooling hitters, so even though it doesn't look like he's pitching that well right now, his command numbers are still really good. High strikeout rate, low walk rate. He's just been a little bit too hittable recently. But he was able to break that streak where Pittsburgh was just not scoring for him. They were losing every game when he was on the mound. But we don't need them to win here. We just need Skeens to not allow that many runs here. He's got a low hit rate, low walk rate, high strikeout rate. I mean, not surprising. We know that Skeens is good, and he's been good against the Reds in the past. They have 86 at-bats against him, and they haven't done much against him. 33 strikeouts, 6 walks. So that is an enormous strikeout rate, and he hasn't really walked any of them. 209 batting average, allowed 528 OPS. These are pretty dominant numbers from Skeens against Cincinnati. And Cincinnati's going with Hunter Greene, and I think people are not going to want to back him because he has a 7.06 ERA, 1.34 whip. But Greene is a very good pitcher. The Reds might be considering him for a trade, though. That is one thing that I would be a little bit worried about, is the trade rumors. Like, are they going around in his head right now? But I think he's going to bounce back from his most recent start here, because Greene is too good, like, not to. Like, I think people kind of forget about Greene, but he's been really, really good the last couple seasons. Last year, he was excellent. Really, the last 2 seasons, he was excellent before he got hurt, and he's still young, so I don't think he's anywhere near done yet. He's been slightly better at home so far, 6.97 ERA, but what I'm saying is I would throw these numbers pretty much out, what we've seen so far, because we know that he's really good. He's going to be back in form at some point. I'm actually surprised that he's had 2 bad starts so far out of his 4, because I backed him in his first start, and I told you back then that he was dominating in his minor league rehab stuff, and I know the majors are different than the minors, but still, when you see a guy pitching that well in the minors, like, that's a good sign that he's ready to go. So I was surprised he got blasted by Baltimore. And then it looked like everything was fine after that. He pitched really well against the Cubs, pitched pretty well in Coors Field after that, which is not easy to do. But then he had a setback, and he didn't pitch well against St. Louis, which is not a good offense. It was in a pitcher-friendly park there. I don't know what that was, but I'm expecting Greene to bounce back here. And I know he's going up against a good Pittsburgh offense here. He's been good against them when he's faced them. 55 at-bats, 17 strikeouts, 3 walks, 200 average, 550 OPS allowed. So both pitchers, I think, are good, and they both have good matchup numbers here, and that's kind of the way that I simplify this whole thing. The money's not agreeing with me. The money's coming in on the over, although that's a full game market here. I think this actually does let you look at the first half numbers here, but we don't see any market read on it, you know what I mean? So that's interesting. Wager Talk's odds logic screen that they have here. But, yeah, that doesn't really help me. We have 52% of the tickets on the under, 88% of the cash on the over for the full game, with the total higher than I thought at 8. Like, the 7.5, I'm worried because it opened 7.5, and it immediately got driven up to 8 by what I assume is professional money. So that does worry me a little bit, but that is a full game market. So some of that is banking on the bullpens to fail here, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to bank on the starting pitching to do well here. Pittsburgh is also a favorite on the road. I'm not interested in laying a price like that. 78% of tickets, 90% of the cash on Pittsburgh. They've gone up to about minus 130 something here. I mean, it's Paul Skeens. A lot of times you're going to have to pay a price for Skeens. I think Greene is being very underrated here. Like, I think both pitchers are very good. It's difficult for me to tell you which pitcher is better than the other, really, to be honest. I mean, Skeens is, probably somewhat better, but that price is kind of crazy on the road. So I think another way you could look at this is to take Cincinnati in the first 5 and just take Greene to be undervalued here and potentially dual Skeens for the first 5 innings. But my preference is the under. And obviously, when I like it to be lower scoring, that usually indicates that I kind of think that the underdog does have a better chance to kind of hang around in that game. The bullpens are just a total mess. So again, I'm not doing anything there with those. Imanaga, that's, Shota Mangina, 169 and 113, man. It's like a 60% rate, which is basically unsustainable. Like, if you hit 55% in this business, you're going to win. Yes, Hunter Greene, he vomits on the mound a lot, which is the one thing that I bring up because it's a very rare thing, the vomit ball. Dirty Sock, what's up? Saab, what's up? I have nothing in the WNBA today, although I probably agree with that lean on Seattle, plus the points. WNBA, I don't like the board at all today, dude. I like nothing today, really. But I just gave you my only play of the day. I just gave it out. First 5 under in Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. But I'm waiting to see if I can get a 4 on that. It's Skeens and Greene, man. I just hope they both can hold up in that one. Philadelphia and Baltimore. I like Baltimore in this one. I mean, Philadelphia, we don't even know who they're starting for their pitcher here. So if you play this game, you should play Young must start for Baltimore and don't pick a starter for Philadelphia because they're going to go with a bullpen game today. That's what's next up in Philly's rotation is the bullpen game. They've had kind of a hole in their rotation all year. It was like Andrew Painter for a while, and they've been going with a bullpen game for a while, so I don't think that's a really good thing. Baltimore is returning home from a road trip, but they went to Detroit. It was only a single series road trip, although they did play 12 innings, but they had yesterday off. I'm pretty sure both teams are off yesterday. So these teams do have rest, so that could help Baltimore after they had a 12-inning game. Yes, they're returning home from the road, but it was, again, only a single series in Detroit, so that worries me less. Like, I think the longer the road trip, the worse the return is because more stuff has piled up to do at home. But when you've only been away for a few days, I don't think it matters as much. Philadelphia is traveling. They're coming in from Miami. They did just get swept by Miami. Apparently, there's some rumors circulating that Toronto might trade Gaussman to the Phillies. And then Skubal, by the way, the team that has the best odds to get Skubal right now is the Dodgers. It's so insane, dude. Like, imagine if the Dodgers get Skubal and put him in the rotation. Like, half of their rotation, they have, like, all these elite starters that aren't even pitching right now, which is exactly what they did last year. And then they had all these guys fresh for the playoff run, these elite starters like Snell and Glasnow and whatever. Imagine if they add Skubal to their rotation. It's so ridiculous, dude. Although I'd rather have that happen than have the Yankees get him. So unless the Yankees are going to blow it with them, but whatever. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the weekend with the trades here. Anyway, Philadelphia could be in a bounce-back spot here, though, because they did just get swept by Miami. So a lot of times you'll see a team that just gets swept and bounce back a little bit, but I prefer Baltimore here. A lot of it is based on the matchup. But again, I don't think you're going to get good pitching from Philadelphia here going with a bullpen game, and their bullpen is not good. They're ranked 20th in bullpen. The Orioles have the better bullpen. They're ranked 9th. So there's a pretty significant bullpen advantage for Baltimore here. Baltimore is also the better offense. They're 18th, but the Phillies have really struggled. They're 23rd, and the Phillies have not been a good offense on the road. Brandon Young pitching for Baltimore. He's pitching pretty well recently. We backed him against the Braves, I think maybe in his most recent start, and we got the win with that one, although it was close. He's got a 3.13 ERA, 1.29 whip. That whip has been going down, though, even though it is a little bit too high. Like, it's indicative that his ERA should be higher than this, but he's still, like, I think a high threes ERA pitcher right now, I would say. I don't go into the advanced analytics and look at the expected ERA and stuff, but I'm old school, man. I just look at how many guys you're putting on base. Young has been good at home, 2.85 home ERA. Good this month, 23-7 strikeout walk ratio, 3.2 ERA this month in 4 starts. Baltimore's won all 4 of them. Yeah, he's pitching pretty well. He's allowed 1 earned run each in his last couple outings. He's gone at least 6 innings in his last 3, or at least 6 1/3, I should say. So there's a lot to like here with Young right now. He really hasn't had a good career up to this point, but he seems to finally be getting something going here. He's got a pretty low hit rate here. His walk rate is a little bit too high, so that's the reason for his whip being high. His his one issue is the walks, and his strikeout rate isn't really that high. He's just not really a huge strikeout pitcher, which sometimes is okay. Against Philadelphia, they really don't have much experience against him. Only Derek Hill has ever faced him, and he's got a walk in his only at bat against him. So basically, Young is unfamiliar to Philadelphia, and I consider that to be an extra advantage to the pitcher. When you have a young pitcher, pun intended in this case, probably full game because I think they have the bullpen edge as well. It looks like the money agrees with that. Baltimore's a small favorite here, minus 114 or so. They haven't really moved on the line here. 56% of tickets, 52% of the cash on Philly. So the public, with no pitcher decided, is still kind of leaning towards Philadelphia here. Oh, my God, I get the Phillies as an underdog. Yeah, I like Baltimore. 52% of the money on Philly. So, yeah, less of the money percentage than the ticket percentage, I should say. Money seems to also be backing the over 9 or 8.5 in this game. I don't have a strong opinion on the over or on the total there, but I guess, there are probably more indicators towards an over than an under, but I don't know. I think Baltimore is the way to look at that game. All right. St. Louis and Toronto, and on the surface, it looks like a huge pitching mismatch and an advantage for Toronto. Actually, let me just make sure that I was right about Philly and Baltimore not playing yesterday. Yeah, this website hadn't really updated last night. This website was all fucked up last night. Like, the table, everything was shifted by one day, so all the pitchers that pitched on Wednesday were showing on Thursday. I was like, what is going on here? Anyway, yes, both those teams are off. All right, St. Louis and Toronto. As I was saying, it looks like there's a big starting pitching advantage for Toronto here, but you do have to pay a price for it, and I would be a little bit concerned, actually, about trying to play Toronto here, especially if you're going to try to play a price like that, and Toronto can't score. Like, do you really want to play the Blue Jays at a huge price like that? Now, Toronto does have a rest advantage here because they didn't play yesterday, but they're returning home from a road trip. They went to Boston and Washington, and again, I'm going to reiterate it. When a team returns home from the road, a lot of times they struggle. They have to get back to home life. They can be distracted. I mean, Toronto's not going anywhere this year. Do you think they're really going to show up for a series against the Cardinals? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like an opponent that's really going to draw their focus. But on the other hand, St. Louis had to play yesterday, and they were involved in a big divisional matchup against the Cubs yesterday. So St. Louis is at a rest disadvantage here. St. Louis used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. They are starting a road trip now, though, so starting a road trip is generally a focus spot because you want to get off on the right foot on the road trip. But, yeah, I mean, there are negatives for both teams here, right? Like Toronto return home spot, negative. St. Louis, positive that they're starting a road trip, but negative that they played yesterday. And Toronto, positive they didn't play yesterday. So there are conflicting situational factors here. St. Louis is going with Kyle Leahy here. He's not as good as his ERA looks, 3.55 ERA, 1.34 whip is not that good, although he's been pitching a little bit better recently, but he's also not as good on the road, 4.27 road ERA, so he takes advantage of St. Louis's pitcher-friendly park when he's at home. But he's been pretty good this month. He's got a 21-3 strikeout walk ratio this month, went at least 5 innings in all but one of his outings here, and I don't even know why he only went 3 innings in the Braves game. Maybe there was a rain delay or an injury, or he might have actually come out of the bullpen because he didn't pitch for 10 days after that, so I don't know. But whatever. He's been good since he's rejoined the starting rotation in his last 2 starts, if that's what he did, although St. Louis lost both games. That was because their offense can't do anything. But yeah, Leahy's been good for like a bit over a month now. He does still have kind of a high hit rate here, though. His walk rate is okay. Strikeout rate is low. He's not really a strikeout guy. But, yeah, he is at least pitching better, and he's facing a weak Blue Jays lineup here. They have 5 at-bats against him. They have had success, though, 400 average, 1,400 OPS. But it's such a small sample size. Like, how much weight do we put into a home run from Alejandro Kirk and a single from George Springer? That's what they have against them. I don't know, man. And as far as what these teams have done offensively, because I forgot to show the rankings here, St. Louis has really plummeted offensively as well. They're 26th, and the Jays are 29th. So we have 2 bad offenses going here today. Toronto has the better bullpen, and they're rested. They're ranked 14th. St. Louis is 21st. So Toronto definitely has a bullpen advantage here with the better bullpen plus the more rested one. They have a pitching edge. They should throughout this game because Dylan Cease is pitching. Cease having a really good season, 2.46 ERA, 1.09 whip. He's actually not as good at home. He has a 3 ERA at home, which is still not bad. One concern from him, though, is he's coming off one of his best outings ever, where he had a complete game 1-hit shutout against the Red Sox with 12 strikeouts, 3 walks, and he threw 120 pitches. I mean, that's going to catch up to you at some point. I know Cease is a guy that they let him go. They let him throw a lot of pitches. He's used to that. He's very inefficient, actually, with his pitches. As you can see, he's topped, he's gone around 110 pitches multiple other times this year in fairly short outings, too. So, yeah, it's because he has a ton of strikeouts and a ton of walks, so he works all these deep counts, which is not necessarily a great thing. He has a really low hit rate, though, so he's basically unhittable, which you need to be if you're going to have the walk rate that he does. He still walks too many guys, and his strikeout rate is really high as well. So he's unhittable. He strikes out a ton of guys, but he also walks a ton of guys. That's what he does. But I would be worried a little bit. This was just an insane outing from him against the Red Sox and letting him go 120. The last time he hit a pitch count like that, he went 118 in an 8-inning 1-hit shutout against San Francisco, and I thought that they let him do that because he was going into the All-Star break after that. So that gave him a little bit of a break, even though he pitched in the All-Star game and did pretty well. But, yeah, he doesn't have extra rest here and there. He's on normal rest after that Red Sox start. So I might have some concerns with Cease here. Against St. Louis, he's actually not good against them, believe it or not. In 35 career at-bats, they have 7 hitters who have faced him. 314 average, 866 OPS, 11-2 strikeout walk ratio. So the ratio is good, but those other numbers are not good. The money's back in the under in this one. It's 7.5. It's a low total, so the odds makers are telling you they think it's going to be a low-scoring game. 63% of the tickets, 78% of the cash on the under. And a lot of that has to do with Cease being on the mound, but I just showed you, man, there are some concerns here. And the money on the side looks like it's actually backing St. Louis. 84% of the tickets and 66% of the cash on Toronto at about minus 170 something. I don't necessarily disagree with the St. Louis side. Again, you might be able to simplify it to just Toronto's overvalued here. Like, you're paying too much of a price for Cease being on the mound, and they're in a return home spot, so it is a bad spot. If you're going to play St. Louis, I would only play first 5 innings. I would not take them in the full game because they definitely are at a bullpen disadvantage here. I don't really want to back Leahy either, though, and in fact, I actually think the better way to play this game, if I was going to play it at all, would actually be to take the over. I mean, you just saw neither starting pitcher has good matchup numbers here, and I know these offenses are both really bad, which is factoring into this number here. Like, these offenses have been, Toronto's been bad all season, and St. Louis has been really bad recently. So yeah, part of that's part of the reason why the total's so low. And when I first saw this matchup, yeah, I mean, my first reaction to this was thinking this could be an under, but digging into the matchup numbers there and being worried about Cease's workload here, yeah, I don't know, man. I think an over might make sense there. There's not a lot of leeway with the 7.5, although, as I always say, if the total's low, it's low for a reason, so you don't really necessarily want to go over a low total like that because it looks almost too inviting. Arizona at Cleveland. Cleveland is returning home from a road trip. A lot of that on Fridays and Mondays. They were in Tampa Bay and they got swept, and then they got swept, and then they were in Cincinnati and they just won the Battle of Ohio, which I believe was 2 days ago. I think they were off yesterday. I think both teams are off yesterday, Arizona and Cleveland here. Yeah, so both teams are on rest here. Both teams have decent bullpens. Arizona 7th, although I still don't like their ERA though, being above 4. Cleveland's 13th, but they have a better bullpen ERA. I think Cleveland is the better bullpen out of the two, but they're both capable bullpens, and they're both rested, so I would not avoid the bullpens necessarily in this game. I would probably be okay including them if I was going to do something in this game. Both offenses have struggled. Arizona's 21st, Cleveland is 30th, dead last. So we have, 2 offenses that don't do well. Cleveland plays a lot of low-scoring games at home, but they're going up against Mitch Bratt, who's pitching for the D-backs here. He's a very young pitcher. They're trying to develop him still, and he's not done well so far. 6.32 ERA, 1.98 whip is really bad. He's been really bad on the road. 7.36 road ERA. Those opponent batting average is actually worse at home, but it's such a small sample size. I think you just got to kind of look at what has he done so far. Like, look at these pitching lines. Now, he hasn't had it that easy, and that he's had to face the Dodgers and Washington both on the road. Those are not easy opponents to face. He finally went 5 innings against Washington, but he walked 5 guys, gave up 5 runs. Wasn't good in that start. Did also face St. Louis in his first outing, and actually was decent in that one. That was the weakest offense that he faced. Didn't do really well against the A's either at home, which is not great. If that was on the road, I'd be more willing to overlook it, because obviously the A's have that ridiculous ridiculous hitting stadium there. And I believe every game in that A's-Red Sox series went under the total, which is insane, which I'll talk about that more when I get to probably talking about the A's later in the show. Mitch Bratt, he's allowed too many hits, way over 1 hit per inning right now. His walk rate is also really high, almost 1 per inning. His strikeout rate is not particularly high either. So far, there's not a lot to like about him, and although he's going to be unfamiliar to the opposing offense here, which is Cleveland, and Cleveland is a weak offense, so maybe he'll do okay here because it's an easier task than, this will be the weakest offense he's faced so far, so it'll be an easier task than the rest, but I still don't really trust him. And Tanner Bybee is going for Cleveland. He's definitely the better of these 2 pitchers. I mean, he's obviously the established one. He's been pretty good this year, 3.89 ERA, 1.18 whip. He's been a little bit worse at home ERA-wise, 4.01, although his opponent batting average is actually better at home. Bybee's been pretty good in his last 3 starts after he had a hiccup against the White Sox, but he's been pitching pretty well again since then, although his strikeout rate's been low recently, but he's generally had a pretty good season here. He's generally been pretty good since the beginning of June. He's got a low hit rate. His walk rate's pretty low as well. Strikeout rate is also low, though, and I thought that he used to be a better strikeout pitcher than this, but yeah, that's maybe a little bit of a concern that he's just not striking anybody out here. He's allowed a lot of home runs, too, which is kind of a concern that it makes it look like he is pretty hittable here. But his overall numbers still, I mean, including the whip, still tell you he's pitched pretty well here. Against Arizona, as I click on the wrong team, I hate this when we get a new series and ESPN doesn't update right away, as I always say. Bybee has been pretty good against Arizona. They have 39 at-bats against him. 7 of their hitters have faced him. 12 strikeouts, 2 walks, a lot of strikeouts there. 231 average, 679 OPS. So Bybee has had the upper hand there. I think the only way to really play this game is to play Cleveland. I think they have the advantage with the starting pitching, and I would say probably with the bullpen as well, though if you want to focus on their biggest edge, first 5 innings might make sense, but you're going to pay a bigger price for it in the first 5. The line hasn't really moved at all. They're laying like minus 130 something here on the full game. It's probably going to be closer to minus 150 in the first 5, though, so be aware of that. If you're going to play Cleveland in the first 5, you're probably going to have to lay the half run there and hope that they're winning at the end of the first 5, which I know is kind of an ask because their offense is terrible. Bybee notoriously has not been getting good run support this year either, which I don't know how much weight I really put into that type of thing, but that's just been the case with him. He got a ton of run support last year, and this year he's getting very little. 70% of the tickets and cash on Cleveland, so the money is, we don't really see where the actual money is necessarily right now. It looks like Cleveland's a public side, though, so that kind of scares me from Cleveland as well. But to me, I mean, Bybee should be able to outpitch Brad at the very least. All right, White Sox and Tampa Bay. The White Sox are coming in for beating the Yankees the last 2 games, so the White Sox might be in a bad spot here. It could be a letdown spot, but they are starting a road trip. So starting a road trip usually is a focus spot. Tampa Bay still has the best record in the American League, even though I don't think they're as good as the Yankees. But yeah, so it's hard to figure out, like, are the White Sox going to be in a letdown spot after those huge games against the Yankees? Are they going to still be focused on Tampa Bay? And because they're starting a road trip, is this still kind of a positive spot for the White Sox? It's hard to say, although what's easy to say is that the White Sox do not have a good starting pitcher going here. The starting pitching looks like it's a huge mismatch in favor of Tampa Bay here. Tampa Bay played yesterday as well. They played both teams played an afternoon game yesterday, I'm pretty sure. But Tampa Bay is staying at home after they beat Texas yesterday. So Tampa Bay is in a better spot here in that they don't have to travel, and they're coming off a win that's going to be less likely to put them in a letdown spot. As far as what these teams did yesterday with the bullpen usage, Tampa Bay used a lot of guys. And they kind of went with a bullpen game yesterday. They used 6 guys, so that's not good. The White Sox used 4. I think the White Sox went into extra innings again against the Yankees. Did they? Yeah, they did. 11 innings, so that's not great. So that's part of the reason why Yankees and White Sox have a little bit of extra usage out of the bullpens coming into today, but it's still not really that bad. As you can see, Tampa Bay is ranked 3rd in bullpen at this point. 3rd best whip, although their ERA is right at 4 pretty much. So I don't think they're really a top 3 bullpen, but I'll give them that they're like a top 10 bullpen probably. So they're a pretty good bullpen. The White Sox are not that much worse at 17th, and they have a better ERA. So I'll give Tampa just a slight bullpen edge here, although given that the rest scenario actually kind of favors the White Sox out of the bullpen, I think the bullpens are kind of a wash here. Tampa Bay is 7th offensively, tied with Miami, and the White Sox are 14th, tied with Minnesota. Tampa has had the better offense, which does sound kind of crazy. Tampa's also good at home, as I keep pointing out. They have one of the best home records in baseball, so they tend to win when they're at home. And as I alluded to, they're going up against a pretty bad pitcher for the White Sox here, Eric Fedde. And I will, again, make you aware that he might not actually start here, but he's probably going to pitch. So I think if we're going to play this game, you should play it as Nick Martinez must start for Tampa Bay, but pick action on the White Sox side because Fedde is probably going to pitch here, but they might use an opener in front of him. They've used an opener in front of him repeatedly this year, so just keep that in mind. Like, I think Fedde will pitch. It's just not guaranteed that he's going to pitch the first inning. He's not that good, though, man. He's got a 4.25 ERA, but a 1.4 whip is not very good at all. He's been bad on the road, 5.4 road ERA. Not in good form recently. He's not going deep into his outings, though the White Sox have actually won the last 5 games he's appeared in, but he's been very mediocre for the most part in these outings. Good strikeout walk ratio. I'll give him that. His command has actually been pretty on point here recently, but he's allowed a lot of home runs recently, a lot of hits. That's maybe a little bit fluky, but you look at his overall numbers, I mean, these are not impressive. His hit rate's too high. He's given up a lot of home runs. His walk rate is kind of too high. Strikeout rate is very low, so he doesn't fool anybody. Yeah, obviously I'm not really a fan of Fedde here. I mean, I more often than not fade him. His numbers against Tampa Bay are actually not terrible. They only have 4 guys who have faced him, 18 at-bats, 278 average, 649 OPS, 5-1 strikeout walk ratio. So they have hit him for contact a bit, but they haven't hit him for any power. But it's a small sample size. And even though you might say, well, that means Fedde is unfamiliar to Tampa Bay in a way, like that could give him an edge. I don't really think so. I mean, he's been around for so long, and he doesn't fool guys, so I don't think that gives him that much of an edge. Tampa Bay is going with Nick Martinez, who I think is not quite as good as his numbers look. 2.45 ERA, 1.1 whip, although those are really good numbers. He's having a really good season here. He's got a 2.78 home ERA, so he's a little bit worse at home, but not bad. He's coming off a 6-inning shutout of Cleveland, which is good. Tampa Bay has won his last 6 starts, and he also pitched in the All-Star game and did not suffer any setbacks after that either, except that he had no strikeouts in a game against Toronto coming out of that, which is, I guess, maybe a little bit of a red flag there. Had more of them against Cleveland last time out. But, yeah, he's pitching well right now. He really has been all season. He's got a pretty low hit rate here. His walk rate's very low. He doesn't walk anybody, but he also doesn't strike anybody out. He induces a lot of fly ball outs, which is not necessarily good, but it hasn't really translated into him allowing a lot of home runs, though. But, yeah, he's got a low strikeout rate, though. He doesn't strike anybody out, so the advanced analytics guys don't like him because they're saying he's just giving up too much contact. But, again, if he's able to sustain this, like, there's something to that. Like, if you're getting guys to just constantly hit into soft contact, that does have something to do with the way that you're pitching, right? Like they're just not able to quite figure out how to connect with your pitches, you know what I mean? And if that's consistent throughout a long period of time, you know, I don't think that there's, like, a huge amount of regression coming necessarily, though there might be some for a guy like Martinez. I already forget who we're talking about here. He's going up against, the White Sox. The White Sox have had success against him. Only 4 of their hitters have faced him, though. 21 at-bats, 333 average. Benintendi has a home run against him. What else is new? 810 OPS, 2.0 strikeout walk ratio. So my first instinct here was I like Tampa Bay because I think they have the pitching edge possibly throughout this game. Kind of look into it a little bit more. Those matchup numbers are not exactly great. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. The money is coming in on Tampa. They're up a little bit from the opener at minus 149. They're in the minus 150s here now. Tampa's public, 85% of the tickets, 93% of the cash on them. Looks like the money's coming in a little bit towards Tampa, even though they're also public, and the money's coming in on the over. Maybe the over is the way to look at this game. Martinez has bad matchup numbers against the White Sox. Fedde and company are just not really that good in general. Maybe that's the way to look. I mean, the matchup numbers actually favor Fedde over Martinez, believe it or not, but I don't think I would do that. I mean, I think I might still slightly lean Tampa Bay. I mean, it just looks like, on the surface, it looks like it's a big mismatch that favors Tampa Bay, although, as I told you, I dug into the numbers, and it's not that much of a mismatch. But even with those matchup numbers, though, it's a small sample size. I think I still tilt the scales a little bit towards Martinez, but Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a tough game to figure out. Maybe the over makes a little bit more sense than anything else there, like I said. But, yeah, I don't want to deal with it. I told you I don't like this board today. Miami and New York, the Mets, these two teams did play yesterday, and we got the under correct in the game yesterday. It would have been easier in the first 5, so my mistake, I guess, but we still got the win, and it should have been easier than it was. The Mets put up 2 with 2 outs in the 8th inning. At least it didn't go into extras, though, and totally screw us. The Mets only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, but they did use Williams for the second straight game, like I said, so he's their closer. He'll probably be unavailable today. Miami used 3 relief pitchers. These are 2 good bullpens. Miami's 5th, and the Mets are 6th. So, yeah, I don't think they're quite that good, but they're 2 pretty good bullpens here. Offensively, Miami's ranked 7th, tied with Tampa Bay. I don't really think Miami's that good offensively, though. The Mets have struggled all year. They're 28th offensively and without Juan Soto at this point. So, yeah, not great for the Mets here offensively. Jansen Junk is pitching for Miami in this one. So, yeah, I mean, looking at this pitching matchup, needless to say, I don't really want to come in and try to play an under in this one. Junk, he looked good at the beginning of the season, but he's what his name tells you. He's a junk pitcher. He's just very mediocre. 4.89 ERA, 1.36 whip for him. Really bad on the road, 6.31 road ERA. So he pitches better in the Marlins, more pitcher-friendly ballpark. He's struggled recently, man. Since he came back from injury, he hasn't looked particularly good. I had one really bad outing against Houston in there, but he's not going deep into his outings. They might be kind of keeping him on a pitch count. He's also walked too many guys. So and he's given up too many hits too, so kind of a concern there. Overall in the season, his hit rate's too high. His walk rate is not too bad. His strikeout rate is kind of low. So yeah, again, just mediocre stuff across the board here. Hasn't been good against the Mets, although it's a very small sample. 7 at-bats, 3 hitters have faced him. They have a 429 average, 857 OPS without any extra base hits. 1 strikeout, no walks. So, yeah, I don't really think Junk is going to do particularly well here. We'll see, I guess. And Freddie Peralta is pitching for the Mets. He's not on my nice list right now. He's been bad for the Mets this year, man. Way worse than he was on Milwaukee. It's just, I don't know, bad environment for him, bad team. Maybe he's not motivated. I don't know what the deal is. 4.99 ERA, 1.48 whip. That's not good. He is better at home, though. 4.1 home ERA. He's been bad recently, though. He's not going deep into any of his recent outings. Not pitching particularly efficiently at all. He's throwing a ton of pitches in these short outings because he's walking a ton of guys. He's striking a lot of guys out, too, though, so he is still fooling hitters, but he's been extremely wild, and that's been part of the problem, but he's also been too hittable, which throughout his career, that hasn't really been his issue. He's usually not that hittable, but he's been way too hittable this year, and he's also been even more walk-heavy than he usually is. Like, usually he's kind of walk-heavy, but this year's been kind of extreme, definitely too many walks. His strikeout rate is decent on the season, so he does still have strikeout stuff. He's given up a decent amount of home runs as well, which isn't really that great. But, yeah, overall, he's not that trustworthy, and he has not been good against Miami in the past. 61 at-bats, 279 average, 884 OPS, 15-6 strikeout walk ratio. None of those numbers are really that good. So, yeah, I think the over is probably the way to play this one. I know the bullpens are all right, but, of course, I don't really limit the overs to the first 5. Like, I think if the game is going to be high scoring, it's going to start early, and then it's going to cascade into early bullpen usage, and then you're not going to get the best relievers in there. You know what I mean? So I think if it's going to go over, it's probably going to go over in the full game. If the starting pitchers do bad, I think it kind of just affects the whole game, is what I should say. And the money looks like it agrees with me on that one. 66% of tickets are on the under. I don't really think the public's coming in and playing an under really here because they usually don't play unders. But 79% of tickets 79% of the cash, on the over. It's at 8.5, so the number's right there in the middle in no man's land. So it's like the odds maker's basically just telling you, do what you want with this number. We don't really think it's going to be particularly low scoring or high scoring. And the money is backing Miami. 63% of tickets, 60% of the cash on the Mets at minus 130 something here. Although, like I said yesterday, the Mets did win yesterday. And like I said, if the Mets are favored by that much against a Miami team that has a better record than they do, the odds makers are kind of telling you something. Like, they think the Mets are the better team in this matchup, So to me, it seems like the public would actually come in on the other side, right? Like, Junk actually has slightly better looking numbers than Peralta. So you'd think that the public would actually play Miami. Oh, they're the better record with the slightly better pitcher and getting them as an underdog. So I don't know if I agree with that market read, which is indicating on Miami here as the dog. I think maybe the Mets might make a little more sense there, although Peralta has bad matchup numbers here in a much bigger sample size. So that's not a great thing. But yeah, I think the better way to play that is the full game over. Get both teams to contribute there to that over. All right, Washington, Atlanta. We got a push yesterday with Washington in the first 5. I'm still pissed about it because they were up 3-1 in the bottom of the 5th. And I first looked, and it was 3-1 in the 4th. I'm like, we're looking good here, baby. And then it gets to the bottom of the 5th. I'm like, let's go. And then they wind up, Irvin gave up 2 runs in the bottom of the 5th. I'm pretty sure Irvin was still in. Maybe he wasn't. I don't want to besmirch his name if it wasn't him. But yeah, then Atlanta wound up winning the game. So like I said, at least it still means the better play was the first 5, though, but we should have won it. Now, Atlanta won that game. That was the start of the series yesterday. Atlanta has the significant bullpen advantage here, although they've had a lot of usage recently because they played 2 games on Wednesday, and then they used 4 guys yesterday. And those 4 guys have all pitched 2 days in a row. So this bullpen rest scenario is not great for Atlanta. They're still better than Washington out of the bullpen. Washington only used 2 guys out of the bullpen yesterday, though one of them was Palmquist, who they kind of use as an opener. So that, I would say that kind of negates Atlanta's bullpen advantage a little bit, but not entirely. Atlanta's the number 2 bullpen in WHIP, although they're the 3rd best ERA behind the Red Sox and the Yankees. I think that's still the case, right? The Mariners are pretty close, and I think maybe the Brewers, but yeah, I think that is still the case with the Braves. Washington's bullpen, you definitely want to avoid them like I did yesterday. They blew the game yesterday. They're 26th. Their ERA's 5. Not a good bullpen. You might argue that you want to avoid both bullpens in this one with the current state of things. Washington's number 1 offensively still right now, slightly ahead of the Dodgers, and the Braves are 9th, tied with Houston. So these are capable offenses here, although Washington is a very good offense on the road. They're a very good team on the road, and Atlanta is a somewhat weaker offense at home than they are on the road. And that might come into play here because Atlanta has to face Foster Griffin here, and he's really been like the only good pitcher in Washington's rotation. He's been shockingly good this year from basically out of nowhere, and it's sustained for the whole season. 2.76 ERA, or at least up to this point. I mean, I don't want to go, completely crazy here because Griffin, I know he's kind of a veteran in that he's 31, but he hasn't pitched that much in the majors, so he's still throwing way more innings than he ever has before, like not even close. So you do have to worry about his innings count. So that's what I'll say later in the MLB season here with these starters. When they're throwing way more innings than they're used to throwing, they could have a bit of a drop-off. So just be aware of that, although for Griffin, I don't think it's going to happen yet. He's got a 2.76 ERA, 1.03 WHIP. And at least, I think Griffin, he's probably been like in the minor league systems for most of his career. So I don't know how long their seasons are, but it's probably better than just being, a young guy fresh out of college and whatever, and really not being used to throwing that many innings. But Griffin, whatever, he's had a great season. He's been good on the road, 2.63 road ERA. Pitching well again. We won with the first 5 with him, I think 2 starts ago, maybe. Is that what it was? Did I play it against the A's? I don't remember. But Griffin's been, or maybe it was the last outing against Arizona. But whatever. Griffin's been good, man, overall. That Arizona game was the first time he'd allowed more than 1 run in a start since late May. So he'd allowed 1 or 0 earned run in every start since then. Or he'd allowed exactly 1 in most of them up until that Arizona start. Still pitched fairly well there, though, although his strikeout rate is kind of low right now. But he's got a fairly low hit rate. His walk rate's very low. He doesn't put guys on base via the walk. He's got a pretty good ground ball rate, so he gets guys to ground out a lot, and he's got a strikeout rate that's not too bad. Yeah, I mean, Griffin, he's been surprisingly good, man. And he's been good against the Braves as well in 39 at-bats, 205 average, 680 OPS, 9-2 strikeout walk ratio against them. He's faced them twice this year. One was a 6-inning shutout here in Atlanta in late May. Good start from him there. 3 hits, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. At home, he was a little bit worse against them back in April, the first time he faced them. Went 6 innings, allowed 3 earned runs in that one on 5 hits, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk. Still, that qualifies as a quality start, though, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, 2 quality starts from him against the Braves so far. Good numbers against them. He'll be going up against Bryce Elder, who I think is the lesser of the 2 pitchers here. Elder is a bit all over the map here. He's got a 3.96 ERA, 1.25 whip. Not bad overall numbers, and he is better at home. 3.31 home ERA, 238 opponent batting average at home. He looks like he's been pretty good this month, but his walk rate has been high, so that's kind of a problem. He hasn't allowed that many runs this month. Kind of against an offense that's kind of middle of the pack, Baltimore. He had a kind of middle of the pack type of outing against them. Yeah, I mean, Elder, he's a little bit hard for me to predict, really. It looks like he's in decent form right now. Again, few starts. He has a pretty low hit rate on the season. His walk rate is really actually not that bad, and his strikeout rate is low. Doesn't really strike guys out. But overall, his numbers are not too bad. Against Washington, kind of mediocre numbers here. 86 at-bats, 279 average is a bit high. 721 OPS isn't that bad. 12-5 strikeout walk ratio here. CJ Abrams has definitely hit him well. And Luis Garcia Jr. Those are the 2 guys with more at-bats, and they've both done damage against him. Yeah, I mean, I think the way to play this game is probably Washington in the first 5. I mean, I think you can almost blindly play that with Griffin on the mound. I mean, I don't want to do that because I want to see what the matchup numbers are like and whatever. And I think I've only actually given out a Griffin first 5 maybe like twice all year. But it's been a good play with Griffin on the mound. Washington in the first 5, I think I'd have to look it up, but I think they're probably something like, I would guess like 14-3 or something like that in the first 5s with Griffin starting. So yeah, they win most of those games. And in the first 5, I mean, the bullpen blows it all the time. So yeah, don't include Washington's bullpen. But yeah, I would say Washington first 5 might be the best approach in this game. Atlanta's got 62% of the tickets, 90% of the cash on Washington. So the money is back in Washington here. Looks like a strong market read on Washington. Atlanta's a favorite. They have to be because they're the better team. They're around minus 120-something here. It's dropped from minus 130-something. So the money is indicating on Washington. The line move is a reverse line move, So when you see the line move against where the public ticket percentage is, that's usually a good indicator that the real money is going against the public there. So a pretty good market read to support Washington here. The money's also backing the over 9, which it makes sense in a way. I mean, the bullpens both might struggle here given that Washington's is bad and Atlanta doesn't have rest right now. The starters might both pitch well, though. So I don't know. If you're going to go over, you should do a full game. If you're going to go under, you should do it in the first 5. That would be my opinion on this game, but still, I think the best way to play this is definitely to take Washington in the first 5, and you'll still get them as some sort of underdog, even though it'll probably be a smaller underdog price, but you'll probably still find at least a very, very small price to play it, so that's what I would say there. All right, Texas and Houston is an Apple TV game here as we get into some of the later games here. Houston is returning home from a road trip, which could be a negative, even though this is a big series, though. Houston just was in Chicago to play the White Sox, and they just swept Anaheim, so they had a very successful road trip. They only lost 1 game, one of the Chicago games on the road trip there, but they're having to travel back from the Pacific Coast. Could be a little bit difficult. You return home, like I said, it's always a bit of a distraction. Even if you can minimize it a little bit, it's still a negative spot. You got to get back to home life, whatever, but they might be able to minimize it here because they're not really going to overlook Texas. I mean, Texas is ahead of them in the AL West by a half game right now. This is a battle, man, in the AL West between Texas, Houston, and Seattle. They're all right in the thick of it right now. Any one of those teams could win the division. Now, Texas, it's a big series for them, too, because they're barely hanging on to this lead here. They're coming in from Tampa Bay. Maybe a bit of a better spot for Texas here, but Texas played yesterday and Houston didn't. So this is another one of those scenarios, like I said, with Toronto, where you have the home team has the rest advantage here because they didn't play yesterday and the other team did. But the home team is returning home from a road trip, which is a negative. So the MLB does this all the time. I don't think they think about it that way, but they just think, well, when this team is traveling, we're going to give them an extra day of rest to get the travel done. You know what I mean? So it works out that it makes my job more difficult because you get spots all the time where a team's returning home from a road trip. I want to fade them. Oh, shit, but they have a rest advantage. So maybe I don't really want to fade them, So you get stuff like that going on here. So I think the spot might favor Texas a little bit, but I don't like the way their bullpen's been pitching recently. And they used a lot of guys yesterday. They used 5 while Houston was off. So I don't think Texas has a bullpen advantage here, even though normally, like if this was last year, it would be like obvious that Texas has a bullpen advantage against Houston, but I don't think that's the case right now. Texas is 18th in bullpen. They have not been pitching well right now. I would not trust them. Houston's been a little bit better recently. They're 16th out of the bullpen on the course of the season after a very bad start. Houston's 9th in offense, tied with the Braves and with the Giants, actually. Giants had another offensive explosion recently, and I'm still not buying it. I'm going to keep saying that, man. I'm stubborn. And then, the Giants will either, they'll just have these outlier games where they put up, 15 to 20 runs in a game, and then the next, 5 games they'll score, 3 or fewer. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean their offense is actually good just because they have these fluke games where they put up, 20 runs. Anyway, yeah, it's very, very ridiculous. But anyway, we're talking about Houston here. Houston is 9th, tied with those teams in the offensive category. So Houston's the better offense here. They're going to have to go up against Nathan Eovaldi, though. I mean, he's a pretty good starter. 4.05 ERA. Not great. Definitely not as good as he was last year. And he's getting up there in age, but 1.17 whip is still pretty good. So he's been getting tagged for home runs. That's been his main issue this year is the ball is not staying in the yard with him, which is kind of bad given that he pitches in Texas, which is a pitcher-friendly ballpark. But his whip indicates that he should have a bit of a lower ERA than he does. He's been a little bit better on the road ERA-wise, 3.98 road ERA, but his opponent batting average is actually higher on the road. So some mixed indicators there, but he doesn't really have extreme splits there, home and road. He's coming off a really good start against Seattle. He had kind of a bad start against Atlanta. Prior to that was good against Anaheim, the start before that. So both those good starts recently were at home. He was actually fine against Detroit the start before that as well. Yeah, I mean, I would say he's in decent form recently. He's strung together a good, basically month and a half at this point here for the most part, with one actual bad start in the middle of it there. He's got a fairly low hit rate on the season, a low walk rate. He doesn't walk anybody. He still has the strikeout stuff, so he's still fooling guys. So he has his stuff. It's just the home run rate is really high, and I don't fully understand it, especially because he's not a fly ball pitcher. He has a really even ground ball fly ball rate. So the home run rate just doesn't make any sense to me. And I keep saying that. He keeps allowing home runs. I don't get it. His numbers against Houston are not very good. They have a ton of at-bats against him. 198 at-bats, 48 strikeouts, 20 walks. That is not a good ratio. 283 average, 889 OPS. So they've hit him pretty well in a huge sample. So this is not a great matchup for Eovaldi here. Houston's going with Hunter Brown, and Brown is the much younger pitcher, so he's got more upside here than Eovaldi does. He's a very talented pitcher, but it's just that he's been completely out of control since he's trying to come back from injury here, and he's been really good over the last couple seasons, but the injury comeback seems to be affecting him, but he still has this stuff. The problem is he's been walking a ridiculous amount of guys, so if he can fix that, he's going to be good again. He's got a 3.45 ERA, 1.28 whip. That's not even bad. He's been bad not bad, but he's been worse at home, 4.32 home ERA. But again, it's been the walks. For whatever reason, the walks have been a major issue for him, specifically at home and not so much on the road. He's still not allowing a lot of hits at all. So he's still tough to hit. He's still striking a lot of guys out. He just had a really good outing last time out at the White Sox. He completely shut them down. 7-inning, 2-hit shutouts, 7 strikeouts, no walks in that one. After he'd walked a ton. He'd walked 15 guys in the prior 3 starts, but he walked 0 in his most recent start. So maybe he's figuring it out again, coming back into form. The walks definitely worry me a bit, though. He's been pretty unhittable. He's got a good strikeout rate. The walks are just insane right now. Too many walks. Can he get that under control? Yeah, maybe. I mean, his last start looked really good. He's going up against a lineup that isn't the best in Texas. And Texas has not hit him well in the past. 97 at-bats, 216 average, 684 OPS, although still too many walks here. 27 strikeouts, 12 walks. I mean, I think I still kind of lean Houston here, though, given the matchup. But I'm almost never going to back a team returning home from the road, though, unless there's really some insane reason to do so. I'm not going to do that here. Although Houston does have the rest advantage here, and I think they have the better pitcher on the mound. And at this point, they probably have the better bullpen, too. So you might be able to just play Houston in the full game here. They're in the minus 130s, minus 120s, actually. Maybe they've actually dropped from an opener of minus 136. So there actually has been some reverse line movement that looks like some of the money's actually backing Texas here. 67% of tickets, 68% of the cash on Houston. So I don't love that Houston looks public here. Don't love that they're returning home from the road. Definitely a stay away game for me. Pretty much the entire board is a stay away for me today. But yeah, just giving you all the info here. All right, I'll do one more game before I take the usual break, I guess, and then I'll be back. Kansas City and Colorado. So this is Zach against Dirty Sock here with your two terrible baseball teams having to go up against each other here. Colorado's returning home from a road trip, although it was kind of a quick road trip. They had a weird 2-game series in San Diego. I don't know what that was. So they're coming back from Milwaukee and San Diego, a 5-game road trip. Still a road trip. They've still been away for basically a week, and I believe they had yesterday off, so it's still road trip return. Kansas City's not exactly a team you're going to be focused to play. Like, how do you get excited to play Kansas City, you know? So after having a bad road trip, I don't think it's really like a bounce-back spot for Colorado here. The return home spot is usually a negative more often than not, even though it was a bit of a shorter road trip. I don't like that spot still. Kansas City's coming in from playing against Minnesota, but I don't like the spot for them either because if you saw what happened, they played yesterday, so they're at a rest disadvantage. So again, we have a home team returning home from the road with a rest advantage. So a negative and a positive for the home team. But Kansas City, they have an additional negative here. If you saw what happened yesterday, it was ridiculous. They had a 3-0 lead with 2 outs and nobody on base in the bottom of the 9th inning. Kansas City did. And they had Strom, their closer, in there, who I think used to be on Philadelphia. He blew the game. With a 3-0 lead, 2 outs and nobody on base, he blew the whole thing. He loaded the bases, and then Cody Clemens, who I believe is Roger Clemens' son, walk-off grand slam. Completely ridiculous. Absolutely insane. So Kansas City, after a loss like that in a divisional game, where they thought they had that win, could be a bad spot for them, man. Could be a bit of a hangover spot for them. Now they have to go into Colorado. Oh, God. However, Kansas City does have their best starting pitcher pretty much on the mound in this game, though, so he might be able to deal with the Coors Field environment. And Kansas City only used I thought it was Strom. Yeah, Strom only threw 3 pitches, so sorry. Strom gave up the grand slam, but he wasn't the guy that put all the guys on base. It was Urseg, however you pronounce his name. He's the guy that jammed the bases, so it wasn't all on Strom. My apologies. When you saw the video, it was Strom who was pitching, and he gave up the grand slam, but he wasn't the guy that gave up all the other base runners. So my mistake. It was a combination of both of their faults. Kansas City's bullpen sucks in general, man, all right? They all suck. How about that? Minnesota we're not talking about Minnesota. We're talking about Colorado. They didn't use anybody yesterday, but these are totally untrustworthy bullpens. You can't back these bullpens. Colorado 27th, Kansas City 30th, dead last. So the A's bullpen ERA is still worse, and they gave it up again against the Red Sox yesterday. Red Sox taking a full advantage of their bullpen advantage in that series against the A's, but Kansas City's bullpen is almost as bad. Hitting-wise, Kansas City is 19th, Colorado's 5th, so Colorado does have the better offense here. But Kansas City's going with Michael Wacha. He's a solid starter for them, man. Really like the only one that they have. 3.6 ERA, 1.17 whip, solid. He's had a solid career. He is worse on the road, though, 4.07 ERA. So he still pitches well at home, even though they moved the walls in. He's a little bit worse on the road. Although I know this is Coors Field, so this is one of the worst road stadiums you can be in. Walker's been in good form recently, though. He actually he went into the All-Star game and pitched in the All-Star game, and it actually turned him around, which is interesting. So he was pitching poorly going into the All-Star break for a couple starts. And then I think because he's a veteran and whatever, because he had some rest in there, he completely turned it around. He's pitched well in his last 2 starts, and he was pitching well before those couple of bad outings too. He's got a low hit rate, doesn't allow a lot of hits, doesn't really allow a ton of walks either. His walk rate is decent. Strikeout rate is definitely low. He doesn't strike guys out. And one thing that might concern you is that he does allow a lot of fly balls, and that's not great in Coors Field. Hasn't allowed that many home runs this year. Kind of a mediocre home run rate here, but maybe not good for pitching at Coors Field. And I went back and tried to see what his history is in Coors Field. He hasn't pitched there. I went all the way back through 2021 at least, because it's difficult to actually find those numbers in one place, because ESPN makes you look at it year per year. Yahoo claims that they give you the full numbers, but they kind of don't. But all I know is that he has not pitched in Coors Field going back at least as far as 2021. He hasn't pitched here. I assume he must have pitched here somewhere, though, because he used to be in the National League, whatever, and I don't know how well he's pitched in Coors Field. What I can tell you, though, is he does well against Colorado. Their current lineup in general, Wacha's been good against them in 27 at-bats, 185 average, allowed 538 OPS, 5.1 strikeout walk ratio. But most of this was probably outside of Coors Field, though. It was probably him pitching at home against them. Do what you want with all that info, but Wacha might be able to pitch okay here. Colorado's going up against Tomoyuki Sugano, who the advanced analytics guys, they hate this guy. They hate Sugano, man, because he strikes out nobody. And if you look at Baseball Savant and whatever, he has the biggest disparity between actual ERA and expected ERA. Like, his ERA isn't even really that good at 4.69, but his expected ERA, according to Baseball Savant, which is based on how many bats do you miss, like, he pitches to contact all over the place. His expected ERA is probably like close to 7, but I take all that with kind of a grain of salt. Like, I don't think that his ERA should actually be 7. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's probably room for regression here, but he keeps pitching and inducing soft contact, man. He's done that for 2 years now in the majors, and his whip isn't that bad at 1.29, so I split the gap a little bit there. Like, I don't put all my shit into Baseball Savant and the advanced analytics, because I think the math guys are kind of gay anyway. I'm more of a situational guy. But with baseball, I'm still old school, and I'm asking how many guys are you actually putting on base over a long span. You know what I mean? And Sugano, we thought he was going to be ass going to Coors Field. I mean, he's a pitcher that gives up a lot of fly balls. It's like, yeah, he's going to suck in Coors Field, but that hasn't been the case for this whole season. So, I mean, if you're going to argue with all those numbers, I mean, okay. I mean, I guess it's not a huge sample still, but he has a 4.15 home ERA, so he's been better at home than on the road. And he is continuing to pitch capably at the very least. He has a couple of bad starts in here, but the really, really bad ones recently have been on the road. His hit rate is too high. I'll admit that. More than 1 per inning. That's not good. His walk rate is pretty low, actually, though. He doesn't really walk guys. His strikeout rate is definitely very low. Like I said, Baseball Savant tells you he doesn't miss any bats. He doesn't fool guys. He's got a very high fly ball rate, and it has kind of translated into home runs. He's allowed a bunch of home runs, 20 of them, which is not a good rate. But besides, I mean, he's just not putting a lot of guys on base in addition to that. So the home runs haven't really completely crushed him here. And it's just ridiculous that he has a 10-4 record, though, pitching on this Colorado team that can't win games, and he's not even a good pitcher, really, and he has a really good record. It's just crazy, man. His numbers against Kansas City, they're 0 for 11 off him. They have 3 guys who have faced him, and they're 0 for 11 with 2 strikeouts. So that's what you got going on with that. I don't think they've really faced him for a full game, really, yet. I mean, this game, it sounds insane, but I think the first 5 under might be a way to look at this. Money doesn't agree. 73% of tickets on the under, 58% of the cash on the over. The full game total is 11. I mean, it's a Coors Field game, and one of the pitchers is Sugano, so, you know, the total is going to be pretty high, but maybe that's disrespecting Wacha a little bit. And Wacha, he's, like, actually a pretty good pitcher, you know, so And Sugano has been able to pitch capably, and they both have decent matchups here. Obviously, I would avoid the bullpens completely if you're going to play the under here. But yeah, I think under first 5 maybe could be a look in that one, man. And Colorado returning home from the road with a day off might silence their offense a little bit. In Kansas City, notoriously, their offense has been very bad on the road. Although, Coors Field might cure that to some extent, but maybe not. So that's what I think about that game. And the side, you got basically a pick'em price. KC, came out as a favorite. I mean, Wacha, maybe he deserves to be a favorite on the road here in a matchup like this. But the money seems to have kind of come in towards Colorado, and it's kind of shifted the money line a little bit. So Kansas City's a much smaller favorite than where they open. Well, not much smaller, but smaller. 65% of the tickets, 64% of the cash on KC. So the money's back in Colorado. I don't think I would do it. Colorado's still return home spot, not good. I know they have the rest advantage, but I'd probably still lean Kansas City in the first 5 there. Wacha is the better of the 2 pitchers still. So, all right, I'll be right back, and then I'll talk about the rest of these, including the A's going under at home. I'll mention that when I talk about the A's game. This is a long video today. Still going to talk about WNBA as well, but I'm not going to have a whole lot to say there. I'll be right back. Yep, inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. All right. Yeah, next game is Milwaukee and Anaheim. I think both of these teams are off yesterday. Anaheim is staying at home. They just got swept at home by Houston. So maybe a bounce-back spot for them. They're the way worse team here. Milwaukee, clearly the better team here and the better starter on the mound, although you're going to have to pay a big price if you want Milwaukee here. Milwaukee's coming off an embarrassing 16-3 loss to San Francisco, which Drohan, who actually, I forgot, I think Drohan was actually part of the Kyle Harrison trade. I think the Red Sox traded him along with Harrison. I forgot about that. And both of them have pitched well, though Harrison's hurt right now. But yeah, Milwaukee, they got embarrassed by San Francisco in that last game. One of those freak San Francisco huge run outputs there. That's because Milwaukee went with a bullpen-ish game there. They called some guy up who I guess is one of their starter prospects, and he didn't pitch that much in the game, and it was just a disaster. So Milwaukee might bounce back from that. They're probably going to be in bounce-back mode after that, and that was in San Francisco. So Milwaukee is staying on the Pacific Coast at least, so neither team has to make a time zone adjustment here. Neither team played yesterday, so both teams have rest. Milwaukee has the bullpen edge here. They're 12th, though I think they're like a top 5 bullpen, I would say. Anaheim doesn't hit well at home either, and Anaheim's 22nd with their bullpen, so they're obviously way worse than Milwaukee. Milwaukee is 6th in offense. They're better offensively than the Angels as well. The Angels 24th, and like I said, even worse than that at home. Starting pitching also goes to Milwaukee here with Drohan on the mound. Still, after he got pushed back a start, ESPN's still like, we don't know what you look like, dude. No picture for you. He's got a 3.51 ERA, 1.2 whip, pretty good here. 3.16 ERA on the road, so he's been a little bit better on the road, although opponent batting average is actually a little bit higher on the road. Struggled a little bit in his last outing against Colorado, although kind of got unlucky. Had good command numbers there still, but like everybody that he put on base just happened to score in that one. He's pitching pretty well still. His command numbers look really good over the month of July here. He's got a low hit rate on the season. His walk rate's fairly low. Strikeout rate is right at 1 per inning, which is pretty good as well. Yeah, he is getting the job done for sure. He's going up against an Anaheim lineup that he should be able to take care of, and they've never seen him before, so that's an extra advantage to the young pitcher that's unfamiliar to the offense. Going up against a pretty weak offense like this, I think Drohan should pitch well here. Anaheim's going with Ryan Johnson, who does not have good numbers so far. He's very young, though. He's 23. I think this is his first season in the majors. 7.34 ERA, 1.54 whip. I think at the very least you could say, I keep saying it, he's not quite this bad, and he might improve, right? Because these young guys, they get out there, they might be a little bit shaky. He actually did pitch last year out of the bullpen, although things didn't go well last year either. Looking at what he's done this year so far, he's been better at home, 4.95 home ERA with a much better opponent batting average, 221. So he's been reasonable at home. He's coming off a really bad road start at San Francisco. But now he's at home where he's pitched a little bit better. He was actually okay in his prior 2 starts to that. He's been a little bit all over the map, dude. He's had some decent starts in here, some actually good starts in here, too, and he's had some bad ones. He's got a high hit rate, though, so that's kind of a problem. His walk rate is mediocre, I would say, not great. Strikeout rate is not great either. It's a little bit low. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really like any of those numbers, really, and the home run rate's too high, too. Johnson, I mean, for me, he's kind of a wait and see. We're going to wait and see what Anaheim does with their Johnson. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, but I would trust Drohan more in this matchup, obviously. Johnson basically hasn't faced Milwaukee before. Somehow Andrew Vaughn has faced him once, I guess probably last year in one of those relief appearances or whatever. He's 0 for 1 against him. But, yeah, will the unfamiliarity help Johnson? Maybe, because he's unfamiliar. He's a young guy, but I think Milwaukee wins this game. Can you really pay this price for it, though? I don't know. I mean, they open at minus 168. A couple of the books have it higher, minus 170. DK looks like they're at minus 181. I don't know about that. Minus 160s, though. They look like a public side, 90% of the tickets, but 95% of the cash also on Milwaukee. I don't really have much on this game, man. I mean, I think Milwaukee should win this game. I think they have the advantage in every aspect of this game. It's just a matter of, can you really pay this price? I mean, obviously you can get the price down by laying a run with them, like making a minus 1 run line or whatever. I don't know what the price will get down to if you do that. But at least if you do that, or some sort of, or a 1.5 run line or something, at least they'll give you all 9 innings of at-bats because they're the road team. So you could do that. Maybe that's the way to play this game, is to find some sort of run line way to play Milwaukee here. I don't really have much else on this. The money's coming in on the over 9 as well in that one. I'm not sure I really see that because I think you have good pitching on one side and bad pitching on the other. I mean, I guess you could also look maybe towards Milwaukee over their team total here, just to get. But I don't think I like that as much because there are some question marks in there. Maybe the offense will struggle a little bit because day off yesterday, plus facing a pitcher they at least haven't seen before. But I think when all is said and done, all the advantages that Milwaukee has should wind up resulting in them winning. But we'll see. Snoop, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for having me on both of your shows, man. We should do it again sometime. That's the Pick Is In podcast, and Here's the Thing. Is that what your other show is? Yeah, check out those shows, everybody. Although nobody's listening to me here, so whatever. All right, Detroit and A's. As I pointed out, the A's-Red Sox series, every single game in that 4-game series just went under the total in this bandbox stadium in Sacramento that the A's play in. And they had only done that one other time since they've been playing in this stadium, which has been since last year. The A's have only had one home series where every game went under the total, and it was against Kansas City earlier this year. And Kansas City can't hit on the road, so That's actually interesting because Kansas City is in a similar stadium today in Coors Field. So that tells you Kansas City has not taken advantage of these better hitting ballparks. Like at least they didn't when they were in the A's stadium. So if that's any indication of will Kansas City fix their offensive woes on the road by being at Coors Field, maybe not, because they didn't do it at the A's. But that doesn't speak well of the Red Sox, because the Red Sox just failed to put up runs against the A's. They won the series, but barely. They struggled in every game. Every game was close. So the bullpen advantage, like I said, loomed large for the Red Sox in that series. They pretty much won that series on their bullpen advantage there. But, yeah, the A's, it was crazy. That was a 4-game series, too. The one against the Royals was a 3-game series. So, yeah, that was the only time the A's have ever had a 4-game series, all of them go under in this stadium, which is pretty insane. Anyway, the A's are staying at home. They got Detroit coming in. Detroit looks like they might just start selling off, man, because they've lost 4 of their last 5 games. They just lost another series to Baltimore. Skubal didn't do well. They lost 10-9. Skubal, probably the trade rumors swirling around. Maybe that got to his head. I don't know. Now Detroit has to go on the road and start a road trip, and sometimes that is a positive, starting a road trip, but they're a central time zone team going up west and playing a late game, and I talk about how that can mess with your biological clock, although they do have 1 day of rest here to try to adjust to that, but maybe that's not enough. But Detroit does have a rest advantage here, so I should have said that. They're at a travel disadvantage, but a rest advantage because the A's played yesterday. Will that be enough? I don't know, man. With Detroit looking like they're potentially starting to sell off over the weekend here and packing it in. That might have been Skubal's last start with Detroit. Maybe the headspace is not good. Like when you know you're definitely going to become sellers at the trade deadline, which I don't think they should, to be honest. Like I think Detroit's good enough that they could still do something in this bad AL Central here, but whatever, man. It seems like they're selling, so that is what it is. Although we don't know for sure yet, but probably. The A's used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. They have a guy named Scott Blewett in their bullpen, by the way. That tells you the state of things in the A's bullpen, because he blew it partially yesterday. He was one of the guys that blew it. Medina was the guy that really blew it. He gave up the back-to-back home runs yesterday for the Red Sox from Abreu and Contreras that won the game in the 8th inning, but whatever. Anyway, A's bullpen's bad. Detroit's bullpen is better. Detroit's 19th in bullpen, and their ERA is below 4. The A's 28th, and they have the worst bullpen ERA, so they suck. The A's have the better offense here. They're ranked 12th, tied with the Yankees. Detroit is 17th, so they're like middle of the pack here offensively. On the surface, this looks like it should be a matchup that favors Detroit here. You're having to pay a huge price for it, though. But Casey Mize is pitching for Detroit. He's having his best season of his career here. 2.7 ERA, .99 whip. He's only a little bit worse on the road. 3.07 road ERA. He's pitching well recently as well, pretty much. Had a weird shortened start against Anaheim, but had a nice bounce-back start against Kansas City, although he got no run support and lost the game anyway. So Detroit hasn't really – he didn't take the loss, but Detroit lost. They've been giving him little run support recently. Not his fault. I mean, he's got a low hit rate, low walk rate, reasonable strikeout rate here. His numbers look good. For pitching in the A's stadium – He definitely gives up a lot of fly balls, but he has not allowed a lot of home runs at all, so he does keep the ball in the yard. Only 5 home runs allowed in those 86 and 2/3 innings. That's not a high home run rate at all. So maybe he will be okay in the stadium, even though he does tend to give up a lot of fly ball outs. His numbers against the A's, they actually hit him well, though, in 19 at-bats. 7 hitters have faced him. 368 average, 768 OPS, 2.1 strikeout walk ratio. So I started looking at this game thinking maybe the A's were going to be a play here because they at least have a rest advantage. I know they're having to mess with their biological clock in the first game out west here, but there are just too many things I worry about, like not just the biological clock, but Mize has bad matchup numbers here. The trade rumors circulating, whatever, might affect their mental state. So I can't do it, but just when I first looked at this, I'm like, oh yeah, Mize is way better than Springs, especially Springs pitching in this A's stadium. So my first reaction was I might be on Detroit here, but everything that I said just keeps me totally away from this thing. And the price is also not very good. Jeffrey Springs is pitching for the A's. He's not having a good season. 6.23 ERA, 1.45 whip. He's worse at home. Like I said, I mean, it makes sense because this stadium sucks. Springs has actually been good on the road. Or he was last year. He was good on the road last year. This year, not so much. But either way, he's still way worse at home. 6.79 home ERA with a much higher opponent batting average as well. Springs was really bad last time on the road at Minnesota. He didn't even get through the second inning there, or the second inning that he pitched. I think he started. I don't know. 2 of his last 3 starts have been really bad. Actually, 3 of his last 4. Actually, let's just say most of his recent starts have been bad. He's only had like 2 decent starts since the beginning of June. So, yeah, he's not pitching well. His hit rate is high. His walk rate is okay. He's given up a ton of home runs, which is part of the reason why he's so bad at home. He has one of the highest home run rates in baseball, and he's an extreme fly ball pitcher. That's not good. So he's not good in this stadium. His strikeout rate is really low as well, so he doesn't fool hitters. Against Detroit here, his numbers are actually not that bad, believe it or not. In 51 at-bats, 216 average, 734 OPS is getting a little bit higher, though, to that 750 threshold. They have some home runs off him. Torkelson has 2 of the 3, though. 13-8 strikeout walk ratio, also not good. I don't know, man. I mean, this game is not too easy to figure out here. I think maybe over might be the way to play this one. The money's back in the under, which doesn't really make sense to me. 80% of the tickets, 90% of the cash on the under. The total's at 11. It's gone up a little bit from 10.5 to 11. It's gone to 11. I don't know, man. Yeah, I mean, over makes more sense to me. Like, I don't think either pitcher is necessarily totally trustworthy in this particular matchup here. Springs somehow has the better matchup numbers. I don't know how, but I would not want to back the A's here. If you're going to try to back the A's, do not do it in the full game because their bullpen is horrible. We have 85% of tickets, 94% of the cash on Detroit. They're in the minus 160s, or they open in the minus 160s. It's gone down a little bit into the minus 150 range at some places. The line looks like it's kind of all over the place there. I mean, my first instinct was to lean towards Detroit, but you'd have to lay like a run line here. And based on the matchup numbers, I don't really want to do that. Although Mize should be able to outpitch Springs. Like, I don't want to overrate the matchup numbers. Like, I think I tend to do that, but some of it depends on what the sample size is as well. Maybe Detroit on the run line makes some sense here, but I don't want to do it, like I said, for all the reasons I already mentioned. Oh, thank you, sir. All right. Yeah, you can invite me back, man. Depending on my schedule, yeah, I mean, I'll definitely come back on. Maybe, especially we could do it as, for previewing football and stuff like that, because football's coming up soon too. All right, Apple TV, we have San Francisco and San Diego. This is a long show this morning. We have a full baseball slate plus WNBA, and I only have one play out of all of this. San Diego lost to San Francisco yesterday 4-1. Could be a bounce back spot. It wasn't a return home spot yesterday, but after losing at home, that was yesterday, right? Yeah. Yeah, after losing at home, yeah, maybe San Diego's kind of in a bounce-back spot here. San Diego's got the better bullpen here. San Francisco used 3 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. San Diego used 2, and they used Randy Vasquez, who's a long relief man. So San Diego rested all their better relievers yesterday. They got the bullpen edge here. They're 10th right now, San Diego is. I think they're like a top 5 bullpen probably, though. San Francisco should be better than they are, but they've struggled. They're 23rd out of the bullpen right now. San Diego's offense has definitely struggled. They're 25th, but I still don't like San Francisco's, even though they're 9th, tied with Atlanta and Houston. I still don't buy it. Just another explosion from them from out of nowhere the other day. We're in San Diego here, man, which is a pitcher-friendly park, so I think San Francisco's not going to have as much offense going on in this series, although this pitching matchup is really hard to figure out. San Francisco's going to go with Carson Whisenhunt here. He's a young pitcher. He pitched last year a bit and struggled. It was his first season in the majors. Didn't do that well. He's not really a huge strikeout guy. He pitches to contact, so the advanced analytics guys definitely are not going to like him. There's got to be something to him if they think that he can pitch at the major league level and they keep, putting him out there, although I guess they maybe don't have other options right now. He's got a 4.6 ERA this year. 1.4 whip is not very good, though. He's only made 3 starts so far. He's been better on the road, kind of 3.6 road ERA, but his opponent batting average is higher on the road. It was only 1 road start. It was his first start at Atlanta, and it wasn't too bad. Yeah, I mean, his starts overall, he's just walked way too many guys. I mean, that's really what his issue has been. His hit rate's been okay. His walk rate is too high. His strikeout rate is okay right now as far as what he's done this year. San Diego's still never seen him before, so he does have that advantage. So he might pitch okay against them, given that they haven't seen him before. Now, I also don't know if he's going to start in this game. So I think if you're going to play this game, I don't think we know if either of these listed starters are really actually going to start the game. So if you're going to play this game, you might want to just play it action just in case. Because San Diego's going with Bradley Rodriguez. And I think I didn't finish my thought, but Wisenhunt being unfamiliar to San Diego might give him a little bit of an extra advantage here. But I don't think I want to trust him. Bradley Rodriguez for San Diego. He's a 22-year-old. I have no idea who this guy is. I might have to look him up. I guess he pitched out of the bullpen last year, and he had really good numbers, it looks like, out of the bullpen last year. Some very short stints there, though. He's made 3 starts this year, which I don't remember any of them, but he's actually pitching well. So this guy looks like he actually has good stuff. He's got a 2.33 ERA, 1.17 whip. That's good. Good strikeout rate this season. I think he's been an opener. I think that's why I don't remember him at all. Like, those starts, I think, were openers. So, actually, I would be aware he's probably going to be an opener here. Like, I don't think he's actually a starter. I think he's a bullpen arm that just comes out there and throws, like, one really, really good inning most times, and then he gets out of there. I think that's pretty much what he does. He's got a low hit rate, though, low walk rate, high strikeout rate. But, yeah, I think this is a bullpen game. I don't think he's actually a starter. You never know. With a guy who's 22, they might switch it up and start switching him to a starter. But, yeah, I think that also bolsters my thinking that you should just play. If you're going to play this game at all, you should make it an action play, because no idea if either of these starters is actually going to start, or if you're just going to see them at some point during the game, you know, whatever. It looks like Rodriguez will be the opener here, and then I don't know who San Diego's bringing in behind him. It's not going to be Canning because he pitched the other day, but who the hell is San Diego going to pitch then? I handicapped all this last night, and they had not announced a starter yet. So 5 games ago, they used J.P. Sears, but he pitched last night, and Vasquez actually kind of opened that game. He pitched last night, too, so it's not going to be them either. So I don't know what San Diego's doing here. It might be a bullpen game for them here, and their bullpen is good, and it's somewhat rested here. I don't know, man. This game is unbelievably unpredictable. I don't even know where to begin with this game. This is one of the most unpredictable games that I've seen recently. Totals at 8.5. The money's coming in a little bit on the over, although the over is also public. Money is also backing San Diego a little bit. 83% of tickets, 91% of the cash on them. Minus 140 something is the price on them. I mean, maybe you could back San Diego just in that maybe they should bounce back after yesterday, and just if you're going to get a lot of bullpen usage throughout this game from both teams, that should give San Diego an advantage because they have the better bullpen. Plus the bounce back spot, maybe that's the way to look, is to look towards San Diego. Money line, maybe if you can get it at below minus 150. I have no good read on this at all. And possibly, I guess, maybe an over, because like the pitching just doesn't look like it's going to be the best that you're going to see in that game. But I don't know. You never know. Like a bullpen game like this, like San Diego's doing, could actually do well. So I have no idea, man. But I think I trust Wisenhunt a lot less, though. All right, Boston and L.A. here, Red Sox and Dodgers. Dude, I had Red Sox fans because, you know, Red Sox Twitter definitely gets into my feed a lot, and I follow some of those people. But, yeah, Red Sox, everybody was complaining, like, the Red Sox got to get out of Sacramento, man. Like, this is not going well in Sacramento. And, yeah, it wasn't, although they won 3 out of the 4 games against the A's. But I'm like, you realize who they have to play next, right? You want them to get out of Sacramento and go play the Dodgers? Is that what you want? Good luck. Although in this game, the Red Sox should have a starting pitching edge in this one. So they at least, they're drawing a bullpen game from the Dodgers here. So at least there's that going for the Red Sox here. I thought it was going to be Yamamoto, but the Dodgers must have pushed Yamamoto back a start. The Red Sox are still going to have to face him in the series, but I guess at least they get to face a bullpen game here, and Yamamoto got pushed back. Red Sox have the best bullpen in baseball right now. They're tied for the best ERA with the Yankees, number 1 in whip as well. Dodgers are 8th. Dodgers are definitely a capable bullpen, but it looks like they're going with a bullpen game here. Dodgers are obviously the way better offense. They're ranked number 2 right now. And the Red Sox are 20th. Red Sox have been at least getting better offensively, although that A's series, that was not a good offensive performance given what stadium they were in. Not good. The Red Sox used 3 relief pitchers yesterday, I believe. Oh, no, only 2. My mistake. But Chapman came in for the second straight game, so he's probably unavailable here. You don't want to overwork him, man. He's an old man, but he's still pitching pretty well, although he seems to always be putting guys on base and then getting out of that jam. He likes to scare you before he puts the game away. I don't know. I don't like that at all, man. I want my closer to be lights out, but whatever. Ranger Suarez is pitching this game for the Red Sox. He came back to make his last start. So he was on the injured list. He had a groin issue. He came back in his last start. It was a little bit of a shorter start, but he looked pretty good in that one. He's been good this season, 3.02 ERA, 1.15 whip. I mean, he's been good for like 3 seasons in a row now, but this is his first season with Boston. And he's actually been better on the road, too, 2.55 road ERA. That's good. He had a 4-inning shutout with 4 hits, no walks against Toronto in his return from his injury. Looked good in the start, although Toronto's offense sucks. But, yeah, that was in Fenway, and he looked pretty good. So they're probably going to let him go a little bit longer here. They were kind of rebuilding him. Like they only had him go 64 pitches there, and they'll let the bullpen handle the rest of it. And the Red Sox won the game. But, yeah, Suarez will probably go a little bit longer in this game unless he gets knocked out of the game. But that might be a concern here because he is facing a really good lineup. Overall, his numbers are really good here, though. Low hit rate, low walk rate, high strikeout rate, good stuff across the board here, except he's not good against the Dodgers. They have 101 career at-bats against him because, of course, he was in the National League with Philly. Dodgers have a 317 average, 909 OPS, 21-7 strikeout walk ratio against him. So he's been bad against the Dodgers. A few of these guys really hammer him. Mookie Betts, former Red Sox player they never should have gotten rid of. Freddie Freeman, those 2 guys do the most damage. So if you're looking for hits plus runs plus RBIs, player props to go over, that's what I recommend. I recommend finding a guy that has a decent-sized sample against the starting pitcher and going with him there. LA is going with Edgardo Henriquez here. He's a bullpen arm. So like I said, he's good, but they're going with a bullpen game here. So I think he's going to pitch the first inning or whatever, and then the Dodgers are just going bullpen game here. You never know what that's going to look like, man. It could be successful, maybe not. The Dodgers are favored, but they're not favored by that much. They're in the minus 120 range here. Red Sox are getting the money, 61% of tickets, 86% of the cash on the Red Sox. I think the feeling from the professionals is probably that, well, you're getting like a pretty capable starter here for the Red Sox going up against a bullpen game, so that should give the Red Sox the advantage here. Plus, they do still have the bullpen edge as well, although it's going to be the bullpen all game pretty much for the Dodgers here. And yes, I'm old school, so I like to fade the bullpen games. Sometimes it doesn't work out too well, but in this one, I'm not going to do it because the Red Sox, Suarez doesn't have good matchup numbers here. I think if I was going to play this game, I would probably play the over, even though I know the Red Sox just had a bunch of low-scoring games in one of the most over-friendly ballparks. I don't know. This game looks like there is going to be more offense coming in this game, so given what we just looked at there as far as what the matchup looks like and whatever. 8.5 is the total. It's a reasonable total. Hasn't really moved. 50-50 on the tickets on the total, 75% of the cash on the over, so the money is backing the over there. I tend to agree with that one. And then we have Minnesota and Seattle. Looking at the starting pitching matchup here, it looks like it's a big advantage for Seattle, but when you dig into it a little bit, maybe not so much. Seattle is returning home from a road trip, so that's not good. They went to Texas and the Dodgers, and I believe they played yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yes, Seattle used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, including Hoppe, Alex Hoppe. Love his writing, man, and his political stuff. Seattle's returning home from a road trip, which I know I always point out it's a negative. You return home from the road, you got to get back to home life. They had 2 big series on the road against Texas, who's leading their division right now, and then they had to play against the Dodgers. So it's going to be difficult to return home from that and play a Minnesota team that's probably not going anywhere. So could be a bit of a spot where Seattle overlooks their opponent. They get distracted, having to get back to home life. At least they're not traveling across time zones here, but it's still not a good spot for Seattle here. So I don't like the spot for them. Minnesota is starting a road trip off of beating Kansas City yesterday. Of course, they did it in dramatic fashion with that Clemens walk-off grand slam, which I believe the last walk-off grand slam in Major League Baseball was in like 2018 or something, I think is what I saw on ESPN. It's a rare event. That seemed, I would think it wouldn't be quite that rare, but I guess it is. Anyway, Minnesota's in the better situational spot here because they're starting a road trip. Could be a focus spot. Both teams played yesterday. Minnesota's bullpen is way worse, though. They used 3 guys yesterday. Seattle's a much better bullpen. Seattle's ranked 11th. I think they're like a top 5 bullpen, though. Twins are one of the worst. They're 29th. I think they're a bottom like 5 bullpen probably. Minnesota's been better offensively than Seattle. They're 14th, tied with the White Sox. Seattle's struggled all season so far. They're 27th, really have not gotten their offense going. Seattle's going up against Zebby Matthews, who's pitching for the Twins here. He's still a pretty young guy. He's got some talent, but his numbers are just kind of all over the place. 5.21 ERA, 1.32 WHIP, not that good. And he's been way worse on the road, 7.58 road ERA. So he pitches way worse on the road, although he's actually way better at night. I don't usually look at the day-night splits, but his splits are extreme everywhere. So he's going to be on the road here, but he is pitching in a pitcher-friendly park, and it is going to be at night. So, maybe that will counteract the fact that he's terrible on the road, but he is terrible on the road. 7.58 road ERA. Was decent in his last outing against the A's, held him to 2 runs in 6 innings, but he only had 1 strikeout. So that really concerns me. And the fact that he has an 8+ ERA this month and a 13-12 strikeout walk ratio this month, in addition to 24 hits allowed in 19 2/3 innings, yeah, that's not good. He's not pitching well right now, so I don't really trust Zebulon with the way that he's pitching right now, although I guess he's maybe trending back in the right direction after that last start. He's got exactly 1 hit per inning, very mediocre. His walk rate is kind of mediocre as well. His strikeout rate is actually not even really that good. I thought he was a better strikeout pitcher than that. I feel like I say that every time I break down his numbers. I keep forgetting that. But yeah, his numbers across the board, not really that good. Home run rate is kind of high as well, though maybe that would be not a huge issue in Seattle. His numbers against Seattle, they've hit him well. Only 5 of their hitters have faced him, though. 13 at-bats, but they've done a lot of damage against him. 385 average, 1275 OPS, 3.1 strikeout walk ratio. So Zebulon has not done well against Seattle. I'm leaning more towards him not pitching too well here. Bryce Miller is pitching for Seattle. He's had a really good season, although it's been a short season so far because he came back from injury sometime like a couple months into the season. He's been really good, though. 2.75 ERA, 0.92 WHIP. He's been pretty much untouchable at home. 0.95 home ERA. Ridiculous. With a really low 143 opponent batting average at home as well. He struggled last time out on the road against Texas. I don't know what that was, although I think I broke down the matchup, and he actually doesn't have good matchup numbers against Texas or whatever that was. I don't know, but he's been a little bit worse recently. Seattle's lost his last 3 starts. He's taken the loss in all of them, and he's been not going as deep into his outings. Yeah, he's struggling a little bit recently, and it wasn't really against good offenses either. Miami, San Francisco, Texas, but 2 of those are on the road, and the least bad of them was at home. So it's going to be, and it was against San Francisco, though, the worst offense in my opinion there. Although I know they're hitting better than I claim that they are, whatever. Miller, though, he is back at home here. I think he might still be able to bounce back at some point here. He's got a low hit rate, a low walk rate, high strikeout rate. Like, all those numbers are good. Against Minnesota, his numbers are very good. 21 at-bats. Only 7 of their hitters have faced him. It's not a lot. It's only 21 at-bats. 5.1 strikeout walk ratio. 0.95 average, though, and 279 OPS. I kind of like Seattle, man. I mean, it feels like these return home spots, I want to fade these teams usually, but I like the pitching matchup for, like, all of them except one. And I think that does kind of matter a little bit. The money looks like it is back in Seattle, but you do have to pay a huge price for it, though. 86% of tickets, 93% of the cash on them. You have to lay minus 170 something for it. The line's actually reverse moved against them. It opened minus 186, and then it dropped. So that's an indicator there is some money playing Minnesota here. And given that the total is 7.5 or 8, money is coming in on the under as well. given all that and that it's a lower scoring game, a lot of times the underdog does make some sense here. However, despite the return home spot, which I know is very bad, the matchup just favors Seattle to me, like just throughout the pitching. Everywhere throughout the pitching in this game favors them with the starting pitching and the bullpens here. I don't know, man. I think if I was going to play this, maybe I would still lay, like make a -1 run line with Seattle or something here. Or maybe take Minnesota's team total under and take them to just not score against Seattle's pitching here. But then that worries me because it's a low total. So you're going to be looking at, like, if Minnesota scores 3 runs, you're going to lose that bet probably. So that's really, really living life on the edge. You know what I mean? So I think I would prefer to, like, make a -1 run line with Seattle there. But I don't want to do it. Yeah, again, I don't like this board today much at all, dude. I've only got one play here out of all that. And then WNBA I'm avoiding, but we got 3 games here. I think every team is now played out of the All-Star break, so we don't have to break down the momentum spot anymore coming out of the break. But we have Seattle at Atlanta. Saab likes Seattle to cover here. I think I agree with that. I think if I was going to play any of the games today, I think it would be that, actually. Atlanta's returning home from the road, but it wasn't a road trip. It was only a single game on the road in Dallas. It was a big game, and they won the game. Like I pointed out when I broke down that matchup, the money was coming in on Atlanta in that one, and Atlanta had the better defense, and that's kind of what won out there. They were able to slow down Dallas enough. Dallas has a high-powered offense, and they go really fast. Atlanta was able to kind of muddy up the game and win it. But now that could put them in a letdown spot. I'm not going to say it's a return home spot, really, even though technically it is, but they weren't on the road for very long. They only had one game on the road in Dallas, so they weren't away for very long, so they're not going to have stuff that they have to do at home and whatever. But I think it's a sandwich spot because that was a big win over Dallas. They're not going to pay attention to Seattle. They just played them here back on July 9th and beat them by 11, which I haven't looked into it, but I think it was a fairly easy win. They did lose in Seattle prior to that, though. But they got a bigger game on deck on Monday against Las Vegas, which is a big Peacock and NBC Sports game. So I think that's a look ahead playing the returning champs. So, yeah, I think it's a sandwich spot that we have for Atlanta here. And like I said, Atlanta is a bit more of a defensive team, so maybe it makes sense to maybe look towards them not covering as a big favorite. The total is somewhat high, though, in the high 170s, and the money looks like it initially drove the number up a little bit, but now it looks like it's all coming back in on the under, though. So if we're going to get a lower scoring game, I think that does help the cause of the underdog, even though Atlanta does want to play like a lower scoring game. I think Seattle's lost whatever this is, 7 games in a row. They played against Indiana out of the All-Star break, and they lost by 10. The game wasn't particularly close at the end, and now they're starting a road trip, having to travel cross-country for it, but going west to east is easier to do. And starting a road trip, you might be focused, especially because they lost the last time they were here. So, yeah, generally, yes, I like Seattle in this one. I think it's the strongest out of the WNBA plays today. I don't have it on my – it didn't make the cut for me. I don't know. I mean, I didn't like any of these games enough to actually do it, but 77% of tickets, 81% of the cash on Seattle. It's weird to see the public ticket percentage on them. You wouldn't think that, but the number's 12.5. It hasn't really moved. It looks like the money might be also back in Seattle there. So, yes, I agree with Saab on that one, but that one didn't make the cut for me. Maybe I'm being way too selective here, but whatever. Dallas at Washington. Washington just beat Connecticut the other day. We lost with a play on Connecticut, which it was kind of an outlier, man. Washington wasn't as good in that game as it looked. I thought it was a bad spot for them, but part of that handicap was that Washington would be looking ahead to Dallas, which I think they were. They won the game by 8 as 6.5-point favorites, and again, there was a huge free throw disparity in the game, and that's how Washington won. They went to the line a ton, and that's how they won the game, and it skewed the game to be higher scoring. I think it was bullshit. Connecticut had more field goal attempts in the game by double digits and still didn't cover, so I'm pissed about that. But Washington staying at home off of kind of, I would say, sort of a lackluster effort against Connecticut. They might show up for this game against Dallas, even though Washington wasn't as good as they looked in that game either. But I think it was all about it not being a good spot. And it was their first game out of the break, and they had gone into the break on a big note. I think beating Vegas, or coming to within 1 point of Vegas, whatever it was. Dallas in this game, they're coming off that big game against Atlanta. It's one of these weird single-game travel spots. to play in Washington. I don't know if they're really going to focus on this game coming off that big game. Not a sandwich spot, though, even though they have an ESPN game next at home, but it's against Connecticut. However, actually, you know what? They might actually look ahead to that because guess what that is? ESPN. Oh, no, that's at home. My mistake. If it was in Connecticut, I was going to say that would be like a homecoming for Paige Beckers and Azzy Fudd, their two top draft picks over the last 2 years, who were in a relationship with each other. They both went to UConn. So that would be interesting. They've already played in Connecticut, though, and they only won that game by 3. So that game's going to be in Dallas. So, yeah, I don't think there's much weight to put into that. However, I think Dallas coming off the big game over Atlanta. I won't say they're going to look ahead to Connecticut. They probably won't because it's not in Connecticut, although it's an ESPN game. But, yeah, this game looks like it might be kind of a hangover spot, at least for Dallas. I'm going to lean Washington here. The money completely disagrees with me, though. Dallas is laying 3.5, 77% of the tickets on Washington, 63% of the cash on Dallas, though. So the money likes Dallas. I don't really. It's another low total here. That's a Washington home game, man. They play low-scoring games. They play defense, and they slow you down. I think that's another reason to like Washington here as an underdog at home. That's like their wheelhouse, playing as a home underdog. They're a style of team that covers as a home underdog because they play slow and they play defense, and Dallas doesn't want to play that way. Dallas wants to play fast, and they're going to have to play a second straight defensive kind of crawl of a game like they just did against Atlanta. So Dallas doesn't really want to be in a game like that. And I think Washington will be able to slow the game down because the home team can usually do that, and slowing the game down is easier to do than speeding it up. But, yeah, the total's low in the 160s, so... yeah, I like Washington to cover in that one. I'm not going to do it. And then we have Indiana and Portland. I mean, this is kind of a mismatch. Portland's not even as good as their record looks, so they've started to fall off a bit. They're not good. They're an expansion team. I think they kind of took some teams by surprise early in the season, but now most teams have gotten a chance to look at them at this point, and now they're falling off. Portland did just lose in Vegas. It wasn't close. They lost by 15. Now they're coming home from that. Not really a return home spot, though, because they're only on the road for one game in Vegas. They're not really going to overlook Indiana. I mean, everybody kind of gets up for Indiana because the league hate the rest of the players in the league hate Caitlin Clark, so they all get up for it. Indiana's coming off an easy win over Seattle. It's a better travel spot for Indiana, though, because they're going just from Seattle to Portland. So it's an easier travel spot to make. However, Indiana does have a huge game against Minnesota on deck over the weekend on Sunday on ABC. National TV game against the best team in the league that has their best player back now, Collier. And then after that, they play Vegas, the returning champs. That's a big game as well, although Indiana embarrassed Vegas the last time they played them. But still, those are big games. Possible look-aheads there. Indiana's getting the money here. They're laying 8.5 on the road, 64% of tickets, 95% of the cash on Indiana. I don't love it, though. Like I said, it looks like Indiana is in the better travel spot here, but that look ahead would worry me if I was going to try to play Atlanta here. So I don't love the game. I might even slightly lean towards taking the points with Portland, but yeah, I don't want to go against a market read like that, and there are too many conflicting factors in that one. So that's going to do it. It's a Friday. It's a big board, but we only got one game to go with here. And it's one of these dreaded first 5 unders. Maybe it's too obvious. Maybe I should worry about it a little bit, but we're going to take Pirates-Reds under the first 5 total, 3.5. Although, like I said, I'm kind of waiting around because I think it looked like you might be able to get a 4 on this at some point. I would much rather. At 4, I would kind of like it, I mean, I do like it already. I mean, I wouldn't give it out as a play if I didn't like it. We do have a 4 now. You have to pay a little bit for it at minus 125. I think if that price drops a little bit on it, maybe I would say do it. I'll update the description for what I wind up playing on it. But yeah, you can play the 4 at minus 125 if you want to pay a little bit extra juice. Every half run matters in the first 5. There's no key number really. Every number's pretty much key in the first 5. So, but I like the starting pitching there, and that's what I've narrowed it down to today. That's all I got today. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on 2 hours for that. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe to the channel here. We'll have some football preview content coming up and whatever. I've already done a little bit, but I might do an updated one for football just to do it, whatever, for NFL. I haven't done a college football one yet, but subscribe, and then you'll get the notifications for that. We're on audio, Apple, Spotify, Spreaker. Check it out there. Everywhere you look, it helps me out. Let's make it a full house here, a fuller house. All right. What else I got to promote here? Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. Uke Covers. I did another one last night for the Gnarls Barkley. I said 30 by accident. 20-year anniversary of Crazy, which wasn't actually. I don't think it was the right date, but whatever. It was fun to play it. My voice isn't quite there, but check that out. Check out my Patreon, patreon.com/LearnToToad if you want to throw me some support that way. I need to get more Patreon content going, man. Like I said, Uke Jams I definitely should do, where I just hang out and chat with people and play Uke stuff. And I might make the first ones just wide open to the public to get people into it. I got to think of something, man. And, could start doing like live watch parties here, some games or whatever. It's just so much content. It'll feel like I have no free time, though. And I don't know, but I need income somewhere, man. It's not enough right now. What else do I have to promote? Losercast every Tuesday night, and the New York Giants G-Spot podcast. That's going to do it. Have a good Friday, everybody. Happy weekend. Let's have a good start to the weekend and get a win tonight. And then I'll be back tomorrow with it's likely I'll have more than one play. Usually that's likely when we have a full slate of games to deal with. But that's going to do it for now. Peace.
If the dark starts talking, hand me the phone. Let somebody answer, let somebody know. You do not have to lose this round alone. Hold on, not tonight, not now. Crown, hold on, stay with me now. Hold on, you're still here.